So welcome, this will be the third part of doing an oil painting in oil. This is a self-portrait, just so I have a subject next to me. We did this preliminary work in the previous sections. Now you by all means don't need this much construction or anything as full as this if you wish to start painting. Even if you have a few lines in or a few shapes, then you can begin your actual painting. But I've put in all this structure, got myself sorted out, and now I'm going to actually begin the painting. I will be painting in an alla prima style, which is basically straight on or one layer, or it's just a first touch kind of work. That's the Italian translation of it. The paint you put on is the paint that will be the finished paint. It's one layer. It's not done in layers that have to dry in between applications. It's a very quick, spontaneous way to work. Therefore, it's great for life painting or painting the portrait. It's intuitive and you get a very fresh look. So I will begin how I would actually paint if I was working on a painting for myself. So I have mixed all my paints here. I've basically got an amount of paint of all the colours I wish to use in this painting. I use what colours I see in the skin tone, which are invariably a yellow, a pink, a purple and a green, which you get a lot of these colours coming out in your skin tone, and that's how I will paint. It's not unlike Cézanne in how they have the colours quite separated. A lot of people like to blend the colours and have quite a skin tone, but I like quite separate lozenges of shape, and that's how I work. So I will begin. I usually have lots of brushes. This helps keep things clean and tidy. You have a brush dedicated to one colour, like one for red, one for the yellows and one for the blues, and you pick them up and use them as you wish. That way you don't cross-contaminate your paint and get it all one homogenised pink colour towards the end, which can be quite frustrating. With this setup you can leave it any time you like, which is quite good. So I've got my rags, I have a piece of paper to test things on, I have paintbrushes, I have my linseed oil, which is going to be my solvent, and I've pre-mixed a selection of paints with a few variations. Like I've got my colours, and then I've got at least two other values of those colours where they are mixed with white. You can basically, when you begin painting alla prima, you can start anywhere that interests you with any tone, because you're not doing any underwork or anything like that. And what's a nice way to start is just to place something in the background to help you warm up and to define a few things, but so that it's not going into something that you feel is quite important. So I'm going to put something in the background, and I'm going to look at my figure in the background, and I'm going to see what I can see. If I blur my eyes, I don't want to do a replication in the background, I just want general shapes, and what I can see is it's a light whitey green behind me, and there is a darker green on that side, which is quite nice because that's the light side of the face with the dark green, and this is the dark side with the light green, and the green is kind of a cool colour, so it will go back. So that's what I wish to do. I'm going to get on my paintbrush a selection of a light green, and there's something that's working very well. And what I will do is, with it being a negative shape, I'll use it to shape the contour of my neck. So I'm going to actually look. I can do a very light line to begin with. It comes down around the ear again, in, down the hairline, and it comes quite in there, comes down, round like that, it comes over the strap, around the neck, and down. And you can actually begin with a generous, reasonable supply of paint that in. I'm doing an upright stroke like this rather than a cross one, because this is quite a nice way to energize your background shapes. You also don't need to have your color one flat color. You can actually begin to vary the color to add interest. And you don't have to do the whole thing, just what makes interest for you. There's a bit of a darker shape up there. And there's a bit darker in there. I'm sort of looking at my colours. That's quite nice. I can actually add, there's a very white green on this side. So I can actually use it to shape my neck and face. If I get into position, close one eye if I wish. Starts about there. It's quite angled like that. Comes in. Again, the same. Make the outline, start with doing this, and I can actually add some quite nice dark colour. Just a variation of it. Doesn't need to be. This helps it along. We've got a cream yellow up there, that's okay, I can leave that there. There is something quite dark here. I'm using one colour, but I can actually add a bit of blue or something. Let's have a look. That's not so sharp, quite rounded. Just paint where you're interested. That's much darker in my image than I've got it there, so let's find a nice darker green. Adding another colour which adds a bit of interest. It's a bit of shape. Just move around what interests you. There's another bit of green there. So that can be my green brush. Now, do I see anything else that interests me? Down this side, it's quite dark. And in here, it's quite a good way to start with the dark sides of your painting. Now, I can actually see, if I blur my eyes, there's a really nice triangle of dark. And if I look, what colour is that? It's actually a purple. So I'm going to pick another colour, another brush. A bit soft. Here's a brush. Purple. It's quite a... very hard to oscillate. It's a bluey purple. It's just a bluey purple. And it's quite dark. That might be too dark, but it's okay. I can lighten it later. And I'm going to draw my shape. Comes from there. There. Up a bit, in, like that, blurring my eyes to see the exact shape, and I'm going to paint that way. Now it's very bright purple. That's okay. And there's a bit of green at the bottom. No, it's oscillating. It's a bit pink. It's actually a bit, it's too soft, that brush. It's a nice hard one. Which is nice. Add. And there's a bit of red up there. This is a bit red here. Now I've done what I said I wouldn't do, and that's break it up into smaller pieces. I want to keep this quite big. And this colour here, it's actually a green. And if I hold that up, what I can do is I can actually put a bit of green like that on a bit of cardboard and hold it up next to my skin, which is hard in the mirror. Okay, I'm playing hard, do that. it's actually more of a, it's very hard to get that. It is a green, but it's a pink green. I'm just going to go green. Yeah, again, I'm going to go, it's changed again. There's a bit of green up there, and do the lines like this. It is that lighter purple again underneath. I draw the contour drawing, go up to there. Now here's where you've got to actually have yourself a reasonable amount of paint on your brush, not just a dry brush like I do, but get some decent paint in there. That's in there, and this is a pinky red in there, and I've broken up my shadow into too much of that colour. Where else is that colour? It's up here. I'm looking for the shapes and I'm putting them in, just like that. And this is how I work around my portrait, just working things out. There's quite a dark bit there. Okay, work all over your portrait and don't sort of feel you have to stick with just the darks. I'm going to get another colour, and this here is quite bright yellow, pink. So, and I'm going to go, it's a very pink colour, and I definitely find that it's got to be a bit, there's a little bit on the collarbone there, and this is brighter pink in here. This is a definite bright pink. I'm going to add a bit of yellow. I think that's like that. Okay, that's a nice bright pink, and so it reflects. These two are the same, like plain, so I'm going to put a little bit more there. That needs to be whiter, so I'm going to add some white. Anything else that happens? What colour is the pit of my throat? There's blue in there. Okay, pit of my throat comes up like this. It is that's a blue. Again, it's a kind of blue purple. I'm looking for, trying not to break it down into too many little shapes. And then it's getting my pink brush out, it's a darker pink. Darker pink there. It's a dark pink there between the purple and that light colour. And then I want to put that absolutely bright blue in there. Because I see bright, sharp bright blue down into pink. There's a bright blue. What? Where is it? It's just there. And it's pale, pale pink. Continuing on. Oh, it's not white enough. That's because my brush wasn't clean enough. And that's how you can get very dirty with all your work. Here's that. Get rid of that. There's a very white down there. Now, if you are changing something, take it off completely, because If you don't, that will fight with what you're painting, and it's more work to cover that up, and it will contaminate your upper layer, and it's just easier to take it off and just put a nice fresh bit of paint on that's very light. There, that works. That's better. Now that blue is very much on the other side of the neck as well. There's a nice big patch of that pale blue. There's a nice pale blue. Now I can make a big shape because I want it comes either side of that bright highlight. That's light purple. There's a bit there. Goodness me. Right, this is where you work out what, there's the highlight on there, that's purple in there. So blur your eyes to really define, be bold. That comes down like that. And then there's a shadow underneath there. And there's a, okay, work somewhere else. Just pick where you want to go. That's a nice warm yellow. I'm going to get another paintbrush. Warm yellow, hard paintbrush, warm yellow. Slightly warm yellow green. I don't want to make my colours too muddy. I'm working across the grain like that. And there's quite a pink. There's a pink. There's my pink. It's level with that, my pink. And it's in there. And then it's purpley pink. Lighter or darker? Darker. In there. I do think that's got to be a darker pink though. You can put your brushes down if they get too much. Try and clean your brushes as much as possible to keep things. That is definitely a brighter red pink. I'm going to darken it. Right, so this is how we continue. We just build up colours like this. You can actually start, if I've got this here, these two here, I can actually blend those together if I wish. Make them a little bit softer. I do like things broken up with lots of colour. If you get confused about what's going on here, look for something easier to do, like perhaps a very light blue highlight up here is nice and easy to sort out. And it's very light. There's a bit at the top. There, I'm doing across the grain, there's a bit there. It's ever so slightly bit purple at the bottom. Some purple at the bottom, highlight there. And then there's a really sharp white down there which I want to make stand out, so I can either leave it, it's quite a sharp green. I'll clean my brush as much as possible and get some proper white in there. There's a little stab of white in there. And also on the brow. You shouldn't actually go in with the colours, but it helps to define what's going on. That's a very simple one. There's a nice bit of, what colour is that? Would that be a nice pink around there? Let's have a look. I'm looking for nice, bold, definite colours. There's something nice and easy. Well, you can see this is how you progress. You just add your shapes and colours. You can spot a colour, define its boundary with a little bit of guidance or a bit of contour drawing, and then paint your colour in and work your way around your portrait doing that. And at present, if the values are a bit off, that's something that can be corrected later. But at the moment, observe and place colours where you see them on your portrait. Okay, we'll have a little break.